Hana walked through the crystal gardens of Lumina City as the twin suns began to set. Her translucent skin glowed with soft blue light, showing her peaceful mood. Around her, the floating gardens drifted gently in the evening breeze, their bioluminescent, flowers creating patterns of light that danced across the crystal towers. She was one of the youngest healers in the city, but already her skills were known throughout the Vallani homeworld. Her people had no word for violence in their language. They had never needed one. For thousands of years, the Vallani had lived in perfect harmony with their world and with each other. "Hana, come quickly," called Taman, her mentor and one of the elder council members. His skin flickered with yellow concern as he approached her. "We have visitors from the Galactic Federation. They need our help." Hana followed Taman to the Peace Institute, a massive crystal dome at the center of their city. Inside, representatives from 3 different species waited. She recognized them from her studies. There was a Korthak warrior with his gray armor, a Vex trader with multiple arms, and an Altarian diplomat in flowing robes. "Welcome, friends," Taman said, his skin glowing warm orange with genuine happiness. "How can we help you?" The Korthak stepped forward. "We have come to ask for your healing technology. Our soldiers are dying from a new disease. Your biomedicine is the only thing that can save them." Without hesitation, Taman nodded. "Of course. Hana, please prepare the healing pods. We will share everything we have." This was the way of the Vallani. They gave freely to all who asked. Their healing technology had saved millions of lives across the galaxy. Their peace treaties had ended countless wars. Their wisdom had guided younger species toward better paths. Hana spent the next week working with the visitors. She showed them how to use the healing pods, how to grow the biomedicine, and how to adapt it for different species. The visitors seemed grateful, asking many questions about how the technology worked. "Your people are truly blessed," the Altarian diplomat told her, "to live without war, without fear. We envy your peace." "Peace is not something to envy," Hana replied gently. "It is something to share. That is why we help others." Jiho, a young architect who designed the floating gardens, joined them for the evening meal. His skin glowed with excited green as he talked about his latest project. "I am building a new meditation center. It will float above the crystal lake, using the same biotechnology that powers our healing pods." The Vex trader leaned forward with interest. "This biotechnology, it powers your entire civilization?" "Yes," Jiho said proudly. "It is alive like us. It grows and learns. It connects all of our buildings, our gardens, our healing centers. It is part of us, and we are part of it." The visitors exchanged glances. "Fascinating," the Korthak warrior said. "We would like to learn more about this living technology." Taman's skin flickered with pleasure. "Of course. Knowledge belongs to everyone. We have libraries full of information. Take whatever you need." Days passed. The visitors studied everything. They recorded the biotechnology patterns. They took samples of the living crystal that powered their cities. They asked about the neural networks that connected all Vallani technology together. Hana began to feel something strange. It was not a feeling she had ever experienced before. The visitors seemed happy, but their thoughts felt wrong somehow. Vallani were natural telepaths, able to sense emotions and intentions, but these thoughts were clouded, hidden behind mental shields. "Taman," she said one evening as they watched the visitors work in the archives, "something feels different about our friends." The old Vallani's skin shifted to thoughtful purple. "I sense it too, young one. But perhaps they are just excited about the knowledge they are gaining. Different species think differently than we do." That night, Hana could not sleep. She walked through the empty crystal halls of the Institute, her bare feet silent on the warm floors. The bioluminescent walls pulsed gently with the heartbeat of the city's living technology. She found herself in the communications center, where messages from across the galaxy arrived daily. Usually, they were requests for help, invitations to peace talks, or grateful messages from species they had helped. Tonight, something was different. A priority message had arrived from the edge of their solar system. Hana opened it with a touch of her hand on the crystal interface. The message was from one of their automated monitoring stations. Unknown ships detected. Energy signatures match Federation military vessels. Count: over 300 ships. Purpose: unknown. Estimated arrival: 3 days. Hana's skin went completely white with shock. 300 ships? The Federation had never sent more than a few ships at once. Why would they need so many? She ran to find Taman, her feet moving faster than they ever had before. The old Villani was in his meditation chamber, his skin glowing soft gold in the darkness. "Tamin, wake up! There are ships coming! Hundreds of them!" Tamin's eyes opened, and his skin immediately shifted to alarmed yellow. "Ships? What kind of ships?" Hana showed him the message. As he read it, his skin color changed from yellow to orange to deep red. She had never seen him turn red before. None of the Villani ever felt emotions strong enough to turn red. "This cannot be right," he whispered. "Why would they need so many ships? We have no military. We have no weapons. We are no threat to anyone." They went together to wake the other council members. Soon, all 12 elders stood in the crystal chamber, their skins flickering through colors of confusion and worry. "Perhaps they are bringing refugees," suggested Elder Borum hopefully. "Or maybe they need our help with a massive disaster." "Or maybe they are bringing students," said Elder Yuna. "Many species want to learn our healing arts." But deep in her heart, Hana felt something cold and dark growing. The hidden thoughts of their visitors, the strange questions about their technology, the way they had mapped every building, every system, every connection in their city. "I think," she said quietly, "we should ask our visitors what they know about these ships." They found the 3 representatives in their guest quarters, packing their belongings. The Korthak looked up as the elders entered, and for just a moment, Hana saw something in his eyes she had never seen before. Something that made her skin turn pale blue with fear. It was the look of a predator who had finished studying his prey. "Ah, friends," the Korthak said, his voice smooth and calm. "We were just preparing to leave. Our work here is done." "But the ships," Taman said. 300 Federation ships are coming. Do you know why?" The 3 visitors looked at each other. Then the Altarian diplomat smiled, and it was not a kind smile. "Yes," he said, "we know exactly why they are coming." And in that moment, Hana understood that everything was about to change. The galaxy's most peaceful people were about to learn why trust could be the most dangerous gift of all. The truth hit the Villani like a cold wave of darkness. The 3 visitors stood in the guest chamber, no longer pretending to be friends. Their true intentions poured out like poison. "Your people are too trusting," the Korthak warrior said, removing his ceremonial armor to reveal battle gear underneath. "It made our job very easy." Taman's skin flickered between red and white as he struggled to understand. "Job? What job?" "We gave you everything you asked for. We helped you freely." The Vex trader laughed, a harsh sound that made the crystal walls dim. "Yes, you did. You gave us detailed maps of your technology. You showed us how your biosystems work. You even explained how to disconnect your defensive networks, not that you had much defense to begin with." Hana felt something breaking inside her chest. It was trust, she realized. The foundation of everything her people believed was cracking apart. The Altarian diplomat activated a communication device. "Base Command, this is Scout Team Alpha. The target species is completely defenseless. Proceed with the harvest operation." "Harvest?" Elder Borum whispered, her skin now completely colorless. "What do you mean, harvest?" Instead of answering, the three aliens moved toward the door. The Korthak pulled out a weapon, something the Vallani had no name for because they had never needed one. "Stay here," he commanded. "Do not try to warn anyone. It will not matter anyway." But Hana was already moving. Her healing abilities included enhanced speed and reflexes. She slipped past the visitors and ran into the crystal corridors, her feet flying over the smooth floors. "Warning!" she called out, her voice echoing through the biocommunication system. "Danger! The visitors are not friends. They are here to hurt us." All across the city, Vallani stopped what they were doing. Their skins flickered with confusion. Many had never heard the word hurt used about people before. It was only used for accidents or sickness. Minho, a scientist working in the technology center, heard Hana's warning. His skin went cold blue as he quickly accessed the monitoring systems. What he saw made him fall to his knees. The Federation fleet was not coming to visit. They were coming to conquer. His fingers moved quickly over the crystal interfaces, downloading everything he could about their technology, their culture, their history. If something terrible was about to happen, someone needed to preserve what they could. Meanwhile, Yuna, Hana's sister, was in the diplomatic center when the first ships appeared in the sky. She had been preparing welcome ceremonies for what she thought would be friendly visitors. Instead, she watched in horror as massive, gray ships blocked out the suns. The ships were not beautiful like Vallani vessels, which grew like living things. These were machines built for war. They had weapons that glowed with deadly energy. They had armor that could withstand anything the peaceful Vallani might throw at them, if the Vallani had anything to throw. But they did not. The Vallani had no weapons, no military, no way to fight back. The first assault was not with weapons. It was with words. A massive hologram appeared above Lumina City, showing a stern-faced Korthak general. "People of Valen Prime," his voice boomed across the planet. "By order of the Galactic Federation Emergency Council, this world is now under protective custody." Taman, who had managed to escape the guest quarters, stood in the city center with thousands of other Vallani. Their skins were all shifting through colors of fear and confusion. "We are here," the general continued, "because your biological technology poses a threat to galactic security. Your living machines could be weaponized. Your healing technology could be used to create new diseases. Your neural networks could control other species against their will." Hana found her way to Taman's side. "But that is not true," she called out. "Our technology only heals. It only helps." The hologram could not hear her, but even if it could, it would not have mattered. The general was not interested in truth. All Vallani citizens will be relocated to safe facilities where your technology can be properly studied. This is for the good of the galaxy. You will not be harmed if you cooperate. But Minho, still in the technology center, was seeing the real plans. He had broken into the Federation communication networks using their own teaching about how systems worked. What he found there made his skin turn black with horror. The Federation did not want to study their technology. They wanted to steal it. They wanted to use the Vallani as living tools to grow their biomachines. They wanted to take the peaceful, healing systems and turn them into weapons. The files he found had names like Project Harvest, bioweapon development, and living technology integration. There were plans to use Vallani bodies as growing systems for military biotech. There were experiments designed to break their peaceful nature and turn them into obedient servants. "They are going to make us into slaves," Minho whispered to himself. Then he began copying everything he could onto portable storage crystals. Outside, the first landing ships were coming down. They were not gentle like Vallani ships that danced through the air. They smashed through the floating gardens, destroying centuries of careful growth in seconds. Soldiers poured out, not just Korthak, but Vex, Altarians, and a dozen other species that the Vallani had helped over the years. Species they had healed, guided, and trusted. All of them were here to take everything the Vallani had built. The soldiers had special equipment designed to capture Vallani without killing them. Nets, that disrupted their bioenergy, restraints that prevented them from using their healing abilities, weapons that caused pain without permanent damage. They had planned this perfectly. Taemin tried to reason with the first group of soldiers that reached the city center. "Please," he said, his skin glowing with desperate gold. "We can talk about this. If you have concerns about our technology, we can address them. We can work together." The Korthak captain in charge of the unit looked at the old Vellani with something that might have been pity. "You still do not understand, do you? We are not here to talk. We are here to take. Your people gave us everything we needed to do this efficiently." "But we trusted you," Taemin said, his voice breaking. "Yes," the captain replied. "That was your mistake. They put Taemin in restraints designed specifically for Vellani biology." As they led him away, Hana tried to follow, but more soldiers blocked her path. All across the city, the same scene played out. Vellani were captured, sorted, and loaded onto transport ships. Their crystal cities were occupied by soldiers who began dismantling the biotechnology systems. But some Vellani escaped. Minho made it to a small transport ship with his stolen data. Yuna led a group of younglings through hidden tunnels beneath the city. Hana, using her healer's knowledge of the body, managed to slip past the soldiers and reach the communication center. With her last free moments, she sent out a desperate message to anyone in the galaxy who might help. "This is Hana of the Vellani people," she broadcast on all frequencies. "We are under attack by the Federation. They have betrayed our trust. They are taking our people as slaves. If anyone receives this message, please help us." But as the soldiers found her and put her in restraints, Hana wondered if anyone in the galaxy would care enough to answer. After all, the Federation was powerful, and the Vellani had just learned that being gentle in a harsh galaxy could be the most dangerous thing of all. The last thing Hana saw before they put her on a transport ship was her beautiful city burning. The living crystals that had grown for thousands of years were being cut apart and shipped away like cargo. Her people's trust had been shattered. But worse than that, their hope was dying too. Captain Hayok stood on the bridge of the Soul's Light, watching the stars pass by through the viewing window. His ship was one of humanity's newest exploration vessels, sent to map the outer regions of the galaxy where few species bothered to travel. Humans were still newcomers to galactic society. They had only made contact with other species 50 years ago, and many older races still saw them as children playing with technology they barely understood. The Galactic Federation had invited them to join, but the humans were taking their time deciding. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Junho from the sensor station, "I am picking up a distress signal. It is very weak, but it is definitely there." "Where is it coming from?" Hayok asked, moving to look at the display. "About 2 light hours away, near that asteroid field we were going to survey next week." Dr. Nayon, the ship's chief medical officer, looked up from her research station. "A distress signal? Out here? This region is supposed to be empty." Engineer Subin, barely 20 years old and eager for adventure, bounced in her seat. "Maybe it is explorers like us. Maybe they need help with their engines." But when they reached the source of the signal, what they found was not explorers in trouble. It was something much worse. Floating in space near a broken research station were escape pods, dozens of them drifting without power. Some were damaged, showing signs of weapon fire. Others were intact but dark, their occupants either dead or dying. "Life signs," Junho reported, his voice tight with concern. "Faint but definitely there. Multiple species, but I am seeing readings I do not recognize." "Bring them aboard," Hyok ordered without hesitation. "All of them. Medical bay, engineering. Sections, cargo holds if we have to. No one dies in space on my watch." This was something about humans that other species found strange. They had an instinct to help anyone in trouble, even complete strangers, even potential enemies. Other species called it foolish. Humans called it being human. The first pod they brought aboard contained a being unlike any in their databases, tall, graceful, with skin that seemed to be made of living crystal. The being was unconscious, barely alive, but as Dr. Neon began her examination, she gasped. "Captain, you need to see this. This being has been tortured." HFY hurried to the medical bay, where Neon was running scans on the crystal-skinned alien. The readings showed signs of forced extraction procedures, neural disruption, and systematic abuse. "Who would do this?" Subin whispered, her young face pale with shock. They got their answer when the being woke up. Her skin flickered weakly between colors: blue for sadness, white for pain, and something darker that none of them recognized. "Please," she whispered in perfect galactic standard, "do not hurt me anymore. I will do whatever you want. Just please, no more pain." Neon knelt beside the medical bed, her voice gentle. "We are not going to hurt you. We are here to help. My name is Neon. What is your name?" The being stared at her with eyes like liquid starlight. You are not Federation?" "No," HFY said, stepping forward. "We are humans. We found your escape pods drifting in space. Can you tell us what happened to you?" The being's name was Hana. As she told them her story, the humans listened with growing horror and rage. The Villani, the Federation's betrayal, the systematic capture and abuse of an entire peaceful species. "They used our trust against us," Hana said, tears like liquid crystal falling from her eyes. "We gave them everything. We helped them. And they took our people to use as living machines." Junho's hands clenched into fists. As the ship's security chief, he had seen combat before. But this was different. This was not war between equals. This was the strong crushing the weak simply because they could. "How many others escaped?" Dr. Neon asked gently. "I do not know," Hana replied. "Maybe dozens, maybe hundreds. We scattered in every direction when the research station was attacked. Some made it to escape pods. Others—" She could not finish. Subin was already at work. "Captain, I am picking up more signals. Faint, but they are out there. More escape pods, more survivors." "Change course," HFY ordered. "We find every single one." "Sir," Junho said carefully, "if the Federation is really doing what she says, helping these refugees could make us enemies of some very powerful species." HFY looked at him with the kind of expression that made it clear why he was captain of this ship. "Lieutenant, I do not care if it makes us enemies of the entire galaxy. We do not abandon people who need help." This was the moment when everything changed. Not just for the soul's light, but for humanity's place in the galaxy. Over the next week, they found 43 survivors, men, women, and children of the Villani species, all bearing signs of abuse and trauma, all terrified that their rescuers would turn out to be more enemies in disguise. But humans were different. Where other species saw the Villani as resources to exploit, humans saw people who needed protection. Where others saw valuable technology to steal, humans saw a culture worth preserving. Dr. Neon worked tirelessly to heal the survivors' physical wounds, but it was the emotional healing that proved more difficult. The Villani had trusted everyone, and everyone had betrayed them, everyone except the humans. "Why are you helping us?" Hana asked HFY one evening as they watched the stars together, in the observation deck. "Your people barely know us. We have nothing to offer you in return." HFY was quiet for a long moment. "On Earth we have a saying. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. Your people are good. What happened to you is evil. So we do something." Hana's skin glowed with soft golden light, the first time she had shown happiness since her rescue. "You speak like a Villani," she said, "but you are willing to fight. We never learned how to fight." "Then maybe," HFY said, "we can teach each other. You can teach us about peace. We can teach you about protection." Subin, who had been working with some of the younger Villani survivors, came running to find them. "Captain, Hana, you have to see this." She led them to the engineering section, where she had been showing a young Villani named Jiwon how human technology worked. But something amazing had happened. The child's natural bio-abilities had somehow connected with the ship's systems. The normally harsh metal corridors were now glowing with soft, living light. The ship's computer was running more efficiently than ever before. Even the air seemed cleaner, more alive. "She just touched the wall," Subin said in wonder, "and the whole ship started responding to her. It is like she made our technology alive." Jiwon looked up at them with worried eyes. "Did I break something? I did not mean to break anything." Hayok knelt down to the child's level. "You did not break anything. You made it better." This was when they truly understood what they had found. Not just refugees, not just a peaceful species that needed protection. They had found people who could make their technology, their ships, their entire civilization better than they had ever imagined possible. But more importantly, they had found people worth fighting for, and fight they would. Because when the Soul's Light received orders from the Federation to turn over their illegal refugees, Captain Hayok sent back a message that would echo through history. Negative. These people are under human protection now. If you want them, you will have to go through us. It was a declaration of war against the most powerful alliance in the galaxy. But as Hayok looked at Hana and the other survivors, as he saw the hope returning to their crystal eyes, he knew it was the right choice. Humanity had found its purpose in the galaxy. They would be protectors of those who could not protect themselves. They would be the shield that stood between predators and prey. The gentle Villani had lost their trust in the galaxy. But they were about to discover that sometimes, when you lose faith in everyone, the universe sends you someone new to believe in. The message from Captain Hyok reached Earth 3 days later. When Admiral Minji read it in her office overlooking the Pacific Ocean, she felt her blood turn cold, then hot with rage. "They did what to an entire peaceful species?" she demanded, of the communication officer who had brought her the report. "According to Captain Hayok's data files, ma'am, the Federation captured most of the Villani population for forced labor and experimentation. The survivors they rescued show clear signs of systematic abuse." Admiral Minji had served in the Korean military before joining the newly formed Human Space Defense Force. She had seen war, had seen cruelty, but this was different. This was not soldiers fighting soldiers. This was predators hunting prey. "Get me a secure channel to the Prime Minister," she ordered, "and prepare a full briefing for the UN Security Council. If this information is accurate, humanity's relationship with the Galactic Federation just changed forever." While Admiral Minji prepared Earth's response, Ambassador Do-hyun was already making waves at the Federation capital on Nexus Prime. He had served as a diplomat for 20 years, but nothing had prepared him for what he learned from Captain Hayok's reports. He stood before the Galactic Council, holding data crystals that contained evidence of the Federation's crimes. The council chamber was vast, with representatives from hundreds of species seated in tiers that reached toward the ceiling. "Honored council members," Ambassador Do-hyun began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's amplification system. "I come before you today with evidence of war crimes committed against the Villani people." The Korthak representative stood up, his voice booming. "The human speaks of matters beyond his understanding. The Villani situation was handled according to Federation emergency protocols." "Emergency protocols?" Do-hyun's voice was calm, but those who knew him could hear the fury underneath. "Is that what you call the systematic enslavement of a peaceful species?" He activated the holographic display, showing images that Captain Hayok had recorded. Injured Villani in the medical bay of the Soul's Light. Children who flinched whenever anyone approached them. Adults who begged not to be hurt when they woke up from healing sleep. The chamber fell silent. Many of the council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. These beings were tortured, Do-Yun continued. Their technology was stolen. Their people were taken as slaves to grow biological weapons for species that they had trusted and helped for generations. The Altarian diplomat rose from her seat. The human exaggerates. The Villani were relocated for their own safety and the safety of the galaxy. Their biological technology posed a significant threat. A threat. Do-Yun's composure finally cracked. The only threat here is from those who would betray trust and destroy innocence for profit. He threw the data crystals onto the floor of the chamber, where they scattered and glowed with soft light. Humanity formally withdraws from all Federation. Membership talks. We will have nothing to do with an organization that permits such evil. As Ambassador Do-Yun stormed out of the chamber, Admiral Minji was already mobilizing Earth's entire fleet. It was not a large fleet compared to the Federation forces, but it was built with one thing in mind: protecting Earth and humanity's values. All ships are to converge on the Villani refugee zone, she ordered from the bridge of the flagship Beijing's Pride. Any Federation vessel that approaches our people or the Villani survivors will be considered hostile. Sergeant Kyung, leader of the Human Special Forces, was already planning something more direct. He had read the reports about Federation research facilities where Villani were still being held. The official channels might take months or years to negotiate their release. The Villani did not have months or years. Volunteers only, he told his team as they prepared for what everyone knew was a suicide mission. We are going to hit the research stations and get our people out. Our people? Asked Corporal Mireille, checking her equipment. Sir, we have known the Villani for less than 2 weeks. Sergeant Kyung looked at her with the expression of a man who had made his choice. Corporal, the moment we decided to protect them, they became our people. That is what humans do. We protect our own. The mission was dangerous beyond anything they had attempted before. The research facilities were heavily guarded, deep in Federation space and surrounded by military fleets. But the Special Forces had something the Federation did not expect: help from the inside. Minho, the Villani scientist who had escaped with stolen Federation data, had been working with engineer Subin to understand Federation technology. Between his biological expertise and her mechanical knowledge, they had found weaknesses in the security systems. The biolocks can be fooled, Minho explained to Sergeant Kyung's team. If I can get close enough to touch them, I can make them. Think I am an authorized researcher? Absolutely not, Kyung said immediately. You are a civilian, and you have been through enough. But Minho's skin glowed with determined red, and color the Villani rarely showed. Sergeant, there are children in those facilities. My people are being used as living tools to grow weapons. I will not sit safely on your ship while they suffer. The rescue missions were not the clean surgical operations that military planners preferred. They were desperate raids by people who refused to abandon those in need. Kyung's teams hit 3 facilities simultaneously, using Villani biotechnology and human aggression in ways the Federation had never seen before. At the first facility, they found exactly what the reports had described. Villani connected to machines, their life force being used to grow biological weapons. Some had been there so long they barely remembered their own names. We are here to take you home, Kyung told an elderly Villani male who cowered when the humans approached. Home, the Villani whispered. But our home is gone. The Federation told us it was destroyed. Then we will build you a new one, Kyung replied, helping the old male to his feet. And this time, we will make sure it has proper protection. Back on Earth, the news of the Federation's crimes had spread like wildfire. Humans were naturally protective of those they saw as innocent, and the images of injured Villani children had triggered something deep in the human psyche. Protests erupted outside Federation embassies. Human colonies that had been considering Federation membership voted unanimously to reject all contact. Even human criminals in prison sent messages saying they would rather serve their sentences than live in a galaxy that permitted such evil. But the most important changes were happening in the research labs and engineering centers where humans worked with Vellani survivors. Young Jiwan, the Vellani child who had accidentally improved the soul's light, was now working with teams of human engineers. Her natural ability to connect with technology, combined with human innovation, was creating things neither species could have imagined alone. Ships that healed themselves, weapons that could disable attackers without permanent harm. Communication, systems that could carry emotions as well as words. "She is teaching our machines to be alive," Subin reported to Admiral Minji. "And we are teaching her people that technology can be used to protect, not just to heal." Dr. Neon had made an even more important discovery. The Vellani healing abilities worked on humans too, but in ways that were completely unexpected. Not only could they cure diseases and heal injuries, but they could also calm trauma, ease psychological pain, and help damaged minds recover. "They can heal more than just bodies," she explained to the medical teams. "They can heal souls." This was when humanity truly understood what they were protecting. The Vellani were not just another species. They were healers in the deepest sense of the word. They could make broken things whole again, machines, bodies, minds, and hearts, and the Federation had tried to turn them into weapons. Admiral Minji stood on the bridge of her flagship, looking out at the growing fleet of human ships. They were outnumbered 1,000 to 1 by Federation forces. Their technology was younger, their experience limited, but they had something the Federation did not have. They had a reason to fight that went beyond politics or profit. "Admiral," her communication officer reported, "we are receiving transmission from the Federation fleet. They are demanding we turn over the Vellani refugees and submit to inspection for stolen technology." Admiral Minji smiled, and it was not a kind smile. "Tell them this: humanity does not negotiate with kidnappers. If they want our people, they can come and take them. But they better bring everything they have, because we will not go down easy." The galaxy was about to learn that humans had their own special ability. They could not heal like the Vellani. They could not live forever like some species. They were not the strongest or the fastest or the smartest. But when they decided to protect someone, they would die before they gave up. And sometimes that was enough to change everything. 1 year after first contact, the relationship between humans and Vellani had grown into something neither species had expected. On the newly established world of New Valen, built with combined human and Vellani technology, the two species were learning to live together in ways that amazed everyone who visited. Hana walked through the crystal gardens that now glowed with both bioluminescent flowers and human solar collectors. The technology was a perfect blend. Vellani biosystems that grew and adapted, powered by human engineering that never failed. Around her, human children played with young Vellani in games that required both species to work together. Hana called out Young-Ho, a human colonist who had volunteered to help establish the new settlement. "The council meeting is starting soon. Elder Taman is looking for you." Taman had been one of the Vellani rescued from the Federation research facilities. The experience had changed him. His once trusting nature was gone, replaced by careful caution around any species except humans. But with humans, he had learned to hope again. The council chambers were a marvel of combined architecture. Human steel and concrete provided strength and stability, while Vellani biocrystal created beauty and living systems that adapted to the needs of those inside. The walls themselves could sense the emotions of the speakers and adjust lighting and temperature accordingly. "Friends," Taman began, his skin glowing soft blue with calm determination. "We have received another message from the Galactic Federation. They are offering what they call full reparations for past misunderstandings." Captain Hayok, now permanently assigned as humanity's liaison to New Velen, shook his head. What kind of reparations? They offer to return all remaining Velani. Survivors. They promise to pay for damages to our homeworld. They even offer to give us protected status within the Federation. The room fell silent. Many of the younger Velani looked hopeful. The idea of getting their people back, of returning home, was tempting. But Hana's skin flickered with dark colors. And what do they want in return? They want us to share our biotechnology freely with all Federation members. They want access to our healing abilities. And Taman paused, his skin shifting to angry orange. They want us to forget past difficulties and trust them again. A young Velani named Jiwan, not the child from the Soul's Light, but another survivor, stood up. Maybe we should consider it, if we can get our people back. No. The voice was firm and came from an unexpected source. Young Jiwan, the child who had bonded the ship's systems, now 15 years old and speaking with authority beyond her years. I have lived with humans for a year. I have seen how they protect those they care about. The Federation does not understand protection. They only understand use. Dr. Naon, who had become like a second mother to many of the rescued Velani children, nodded in agreement. The medical data we recovered from the research facilities shows they were not just using your people as living machines. They were experimenting on them, trying to find ways to mass-produce your abilities. Sergeant Kyung, now promoted to colonel after his successful rescue missions, added his thoughts. Ma'am, with respect, the Federation has had a year to return. Your people voluntarily. Instead, every time we rescue someone from their facilities, we find evidence of new experiments. This was true. Over the past year, human special forces had conducted 17 rescue missions. Each time, they found Velani being used in ways that became more horrifying with each discovery. The Federation was not just stealing their technology. They were trying to recreate their biology in other species. Minho, the scientist who had escaped with Federation data, had spent months analyzing what the Federation was really doing. They have been trying to create artificial Velani, he reported to the Council. Taking our genetic material and implanting it in other species. The survival rate is less than 5%. The room erupted in shocked gasps. Even the humans, who thought they had understood the depths of Federation cruelty, were stunned. They are killing people trying to become us? Hana whispered, her skin going completely white. Worse, Minho continued. The few who survive are broken. They have our abilities, but none of our nature. They feel only pain and rage. The Federation is trying to create biological weapons that look like us but act like soldiers. Elder Taman's skin went through every color of anger and disgust before settling on deep, determined red. Then our answer to their offer is clear. We will never trust them again. We will never give them our technology. We will never forgive them for what they have done. But it was Captain Hayok who asked the important question. What about your people who are still in Federation custody? The room fell silent again. This was the heart of the matter. There were still thousands of Velani in Federation facilities, men, women, and children who were suffering while their free relatives lived, safely under human protection. We get them all back, Colonel Kyung said simply. Every single one. How? Asked Young Ho. The Federation has reinforced their facilities. They know we are coming now. The answer came from an unexpected source. Young Jiwan, the teenager who had grown up among humans, stepped forward. We do not sneak in and rescue small groups anymore. We take everything. Admiral Minji, attending the meeting by hologram from Earth, leaned forward with interest. Explain. The humans have taught me about their history, Jiwan said, her skin glowing with excited silver. You have a concept called liberation. You do not just rescue prisoners. You destroy the entire system that created the prison. Over the next 6 months, the largest combined operation in human history took shape. It was not just a military campaign. It was a complete rejection of everything the Federation represented. Human colonies that had been trading with Federation species cut off all contact. Human explorers began actively seeking out other species that had been victimized by Federation policies. Human engineers worked with Volani biotechnicians to create defensive systems that could protect entire worlds. But most importantly, humans began sharing something they had never shared before: their protective instincts. "We are not just protecting the Volani anymore," Admiral Minji explained to the assembled fleet commanders. "We are protecting the idea that some things are worth fighting for, that trust should be honored, not exploited, that the strong should protect the weak, not prey on them." The fleet that gathered at New Velen was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships whose hulls were reinforced with living Volani biocrystal. Volani healing pods integrated into human medical bays. Communication systems that could carry both human tactical data and Volani emotional awareness. Dr. Nayan, now serving as Chief Medical Officer for the entire combined fleet, marveled at what they had created together. "We are not just two species working together," she told her staff. "We are becoming something new, something better than either of us could be alone." The final element of their plan was the most audacious. Instead of attacking the Federation facilities, they would broadcast directly to every Volani still in captivity, using technology that combined human quantum communication with Volani biotelepathy. Hana would speak directly to her people, wherever they were, and tell them that help was coming. "My people," she said into the biocrystal transmitter, her skin glowing with every color of hope and determination. "You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. We are coming for you, and we are bringing friends who understand what protection really means." The message reached every Volani in Federation custody simultaneously. In research facilities across the galaxy, beings who had given up hope suddenly felt their spirits lift. They were not alone. They were not forgotten. And they were about to learn that sometimes, when you lose faith in the galaxy, the universe sends you someone who will fight to restore that faith. The liberation of the Volani was about to begin. But it would become something much more important: the transformation of an entire galaxy's understanding of what it meant to be strong. Because true strength, humans and Volani had learned together, was not the ability to take whatever you wanted. True strength was the willingness to protect those who could not protect themselves, even if it meant standing against the entire galaxy to do it. 5 years had passed since the Liberation War, as historians now called it. The galaxy looked completely different than it had before humans, and Volani changed everything. Hana, now an elder herself at the young age of 30, stood in the observation deck of the New Sol station, watching ships from dozens of species dock at their ports. These were not Federation ships coming to exploit or steal. These were refugees, traders, and allies coming to join what had become known as the Protection Alliance. "Elder Hana," called out General Junho, who had risen through the ranks to become the supreme commander of human Volani defense forces. "The morning briefing is ready." The command center was a perfect example of what their two species had built together. Human tactical displays merged seamlessly with Volani biocrystal interfaces. Officers from both species worked side by side, their different abilities complementing each other perfectly. "Report?" Hana said, settling into her chair as her skin glowed with calm blue attention. "The Korthak Confederacy has officially surrendered," reported Colonel Kyung, now in charge of all liberation operations. "Their military leaders are requesting protection from Federation retaliation." This was how the galaxy had changed. The species that had once victimized others were now begging for protection from the very alliance they had helped create through their cruelty. "What about the Vex Syndicate?" asked Dr. Subin, who had become the Alliance's chief technology officer. "Their trade networks have collapsed, General Junho replied. Without access to stolen Volani biotechnology, they cannot compete with legitimate traders who use our shared innovations. The irony was perfect. By trying to steal Volani technology, the Federation species had actually prevented themselves from accessing it legally. Now, only Alliance members could benefit from the incredible advances that came from human-Volani cooperation. Young Ji-won, now 20 years old and serving as the Alliance's youngest ambassador, entered the briefing room with news from the outer colonies. She moved with the grace of a Volani, but had the determined expression of someone raised among humans. "The Altarian Empire has agreed to our terms," she announced, her skin glowing with satisfied gold. "They will release all remaining prisoners, provide full reparations to victim species, and submit to Alliance oversight of their government." "And if they refuse?" asked Hana Ji-won's expression became very human-like in its cold determination. "Then they get no access to Alliance trade, no protection from the chaos in Federation space, and no help when their colonies start declaring independence." This was the new reality. The Human-Volani Alliance had become the dominant power in the galaxy, not through conquest, but through offering something the Federation never could: genuine protection and mutual benefit. Dr. Naeon, now the Alliance's chief medical coordinator, brought up the weekly rescue reports. Even 5 years later, they were still finding victims of Federation experiments and abuse. "We liberated 3 more research facilities this week," she reported. 237 beings of various species. Most were being used for biological experiments similar to what they did to the Volani. This had been the biggest discovery of the Liberation War. The Federation had not just targeted the Volani. They had been experimenting on any species they thought they could exploit. The Volani had simply been their most successful victims because of their trusting nature. "How are the survivors adapting?" Hana asked. "Better than expected," Naeon replied. "Having Volani healers working with human therapists has created the most effective trauma treatment we have ever seen. The combination of biological healing and human emotional support seems to work for most species." Engineer Young-ho, who had helped design the new hybrid cities that were springing up across Alliance space, added his report. Construction of new. Harmony is ahead of schedule. The Zephyrian refugees should be able to move in within 6 months. New Harmony was the 15th mixed-species city built using Alliance technology. Each one was a marvel of cooperation, where the unique abilities of different species were celebrated rather than exploited. But the most important changes were happening in the schools, where children of various species learned together. Young humans learned Volani biotechnology and healing arts. Young Volani learned human engineering and defensive tactics. Other species' children learned both, creating a generation that saw cooperation as natural. "Speaking of the children," said Ji-won with a smile, "I have something to show you." She activated a holographic display showing a group of mixed-species children working on a project together. Human, Volani, Zephyrian, and even young Korthak children were building something with their combined abilities. "They have created a living ship," Ji-won explained. "It combines human engineering, Volani biotechnology, Zephyrian energy manipulation, and Korthak structural design. It is more advanced than anything any single species has ever built." Hana watched the children work together with growing amazement. They do not even think about species differences. To them, this is just normal. "That is the point," said General Junho. "They are growing up in a galaxy where cooperation is normal, where protection is expected, where trust is honored." The briefing was interrupted by an urgent communication. Admiral Minji, now commander of all Alliance forces, appeared as a hologram with important news. "We have received a formal surrender from the remaining Federation Council," she announced. "They are requesting terms for complete capitulation." The room fell silent. This was what they had been working toward for 5 years. Complete victory over the system that had nearly destroyed the Volani and countless other species. "What are their terms?" Hana asked. "Full disclosure of all research programs, release of all prisoners and experimental subjects, reparations to victim species, and... Admiral Minji paused with a slight smile. They want to join the alliance under human Villani protection. The irony was complete. The Federation that had tried to enslave the Villani now wanted to be protected by them. What do you think we should do? General Junho asked Hana. Hana was quiet for a long moment, her skin cycling through various colors as she considered. Finally, it settled on warm, golden acceptance. We forgive them, she said simply. But forgiveness does not mean forgetting. They joined the alliance as junior members under supervision, with strict oversight of their governments and military forces. And if they betray that trust? Asked Colonel Kyung. Hana's skin briefly flashed the deep red of Villani anger before returning to gold. Then they learn why the galaxy's gentlest race chose humanity as their protectors. This was the galaxy's new truth. The Villani had regained their trusting nature, but it was now protected by human strength. Humans had learned the value of peace, but they had never forgotten the necessity of strength. That evening, Hana stood in her private garden on New Seoul Station, watching the stars with her adopted daughter, a young human girl named Yoonjin, whose parents had died in the early fighting. Around them, the station hummed with the sounds of dozens of species living, working, and playing together. "Tell me the story again," Yoonjin asked, settling beside Hana on the bio-crystal bench that glowed softly in response to their presence. "Which story?" Hana asked, though she already knew. "About how humans and Villani became family." Hana smiled, her skin glowing with the deep contentment that had replaced the fear and pain of years past. Once upon a time, there was a race that trusted everyone, and everyone betrayed them. They thought they would never trust again. But then, Yoonjin prompted, but then they met another race that did not want to use them or hurt them, a race that wanted to protect them. And both races learned that trust is not weakness if it is guarded by strength, and strength is not cruel if it is guided by wisdom. And they lived happily ever after? Hana looked out at the bustling station, at the mixed crews working together, at the children playing games that required cooperation between species, at the ships bringing refugees to safety and carrying aid to those in need. They built something better than happy, she said. They built something that would protect happiness for everyone. As the stars wheeled overhead, Hana reflected on how much had changed. The galaxy's gentlest race had indeed learned to trust. Again. But now that trust was protected by the galaxy's most fiercely protective species. And together, they had created something neither could have achieved alone. A galaxy where being gentle was not a weakness, and being strong was not an excuse for cruelty. The Villani trusted only human protectors now not because humans were the strongest or the smartest, but because humans understood that true strength meant using your power to protect those who could not protect themselves. And that understanding had changed everything. The galaxy was gentle now, because it was also protected. Trust could flourish, again, because betrayal had consequences. Peace could grow, because there were guardians who would fight to preserve it. This was why the galaxy's gentlest race trusted only humans. Because humans had taught them that trust and strength could coexist, that peace and protection could work together, and that sometimes the best way to heal a broken galaxy was to show it what real friendship looked like. And in the end, that friendship had saved them all.